Oswego Community Unit School District Board of Education meeting. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Cerrone?
Here.
Dr. Martin?
Here.
Dr. Murillo?
Here.
Dr. Polak? Ms. Robinson?
Present.
Ms. C?
Here.
Ms. Wenma?
Present.
Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right.
Okay.
4.1, our fall recognition.
Yes, so board, we ask you to please join us in the middle.
All right.
Tonight, we are going to recognize several of our students for their recent athletic achievements from this past fall. We're going to begin with the story of two amazing athletes from our swim and dive team. Unable to attend tonight, Katie Malm, a senior at Oswego East High School, defended her title as the IHSA State Swim and Dive Championship. While en route to becoming the back-to-back state dive champion, she set a new state scoring record of 515.75. So congratulations to Katie. And now we're going to ask for Ms. Addie Miller to come forward. Addie came home from the IHSA State Swim and Dive Championship with some serious hardware. In addition to claiming the state title in the AWD 100 breaststroke, Addie also took second place in the AWD 200 free, second place in the AWD 50 free, and second place in the AWD 100 free. Congratulations to both Katie and Addie. We're going to pause for a photo and invite any coaches and administrators to come up and join us. Congratulations. Thank you. Unable to join us this evening, but we feel like we can't miss this opportunity to acknowledge Allie Wordle, who's a sophomore from Oswego High School. This past fall, Allie won the IHSA Class 2A Girls Golf State Championship. Her impressive score of 136 allowed her to claim the state title, winning by 5 strokes. Congratulations to Allie. Our final recognition for students this evening is our Oswego High School football team. The players and coaches representing this amazing team, please come forward to be recognized by Dr. Kincaid and our board as we read about you. This fall, the Panthers had a historic playoff run, leading them all the way to the IHSA State Championship. Supported across the community, this team captured the attention of many, both local and around the state, as they made their way through the playoffs. Oswego hosted the Class 8A semifinal against Lockport, winning 10-7 to advance to the finals, marking the first time the team reached the semifinals since 2003, and only the third time in school history that Oswego has advanced to the state championship. Notably, head coach Brian Cooney, who previously won a state title as a player for Oswego in 1992, led the team to this 2025 milestone. The Panthers finished this incredible season as the IHSA 8A state runner-up. Congratulations, Panthers. All right, we're going to try for a photo here. Right? Board, we're going to ask you to stay there. We're done with our student recognition. Congratulations to all of our athletes. Thank you for being here. Before we move forward, we are going to do 2 additional photos just for time's sake here. We're going to ask first if we could have our inaugural residency cohort stand and come forward to join the board for a photo. Any administrators that would like to join them?
Wow. Awesome.
Congratulations. We'll hear all about you guys in just a moment. But board, stay there. We have one more exciting recognition. We would like to ask our ESL cohort to come forward. If there's any administrators that would like to join them for the photo.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
And a round of applause for you. Board, you can return. Thank you. Okay, and briefly, before we move forward with the rest of the meeting, we just want to take a moment and acknowledge that this evening we have Dr. Kincaid, our Deputy Superintendent, serving here alongside President Cerrone in Dr. Calgatti's absence. Our thoughts are with him as he is currently out with a loss from his family.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you. All right. Wait.
Don't all leave. Don't all leave. We're going to celebrate you still.
That was just picture time. Right. Let's get you out of here a little bit quicker, not that quick.
We're going to hear all about your great work now in a presentation.
Yeah.
And then
So 5.1, we have our next gen residency celebration of inaugural residents and ESL endorsement graduates.
Good evening, board. I am excited to present to you the first presentation this evening by Reagan Sondergraf, our Director of Schools and Staff Development.
Hi, board. I have the privilege and honor of being here today to share some celebrations with you all. So I want to start out by sharing a little bit about our residency program here in SD308. Our residency program is the Next Gen Residency Program, and we partner with Aurora University, and we actually have 3 of our representatives and our partners, Jan Gant, the Chair of Initial Licensure and College of Ed and Social Work Fellow.
Thank you for being here.
And then we have Emily Morales, the Assistant Vice President of Graduate Enrollment. And Brenda Barnwell, the Dean of College of Education and Social Work. Our partnership with Aurora is critical for this programming, so I wanted to make sure that we recognize them today. So if you will click on to the next slide. Oh, I have it. Oh, look at that. I'm going to do a microphone and a clicker. Where am I going? Okay. So I wanted to just start out with sharing the residency mission and vision with you all. Really, when we created the program, it was to equip future educators with the knowledge and skills that they need in order to help our students achieve. So when we created the program, we looked at really how do you grow your own. We have all of our wonderful residents back here, along with 2 other cohorts that are currently in action. They are all district employees or have been for an average of 7 years. So we have teaching assistants, substitutes, and everything that have started within our residency program. So not only are we building our own, but they are invested in our kids already before they started this journey with us. Click. And the reasoning why we created this programming is because we need high quality educators. And so if you'll see up there, I just put a couple of stats, one being that we have 92 teachers that will be that have already submitted for retirement over the next 4 years in SD308. That is not including those that will submit for retirement between now and March 1st. So we have a lot of teachers that are leaving us, and we need to fill them with wonderful, high-quality educators. Some statistics from the National Center for Education in May of 2024 was that our traditional teacher preparation programs have dropped 23% since 2010. That means colleges and universities are not producing teachers, or people are not going into education. So this is even more of the reason for the program. Then lastly, between 2010 and now, there has been a upward trend of teachers leaving education, 16 to 18% annually. And that's sad, right? We see our teachers burning out and leaving, where we are hoping within our residency program that they are invested in our district and they will stay with us. We have 3 primary goals for the residency program. One is to increase the number of certified teachers in our high needs areas. That includes special education, our ESL, which is our fastest growing subgroup. Actually, in 2016, we had 5.5%, and now we have 15% in 2025. As I mentioned before, all of our residents, for that goal number 2, is to increase that retention for our high quality educators. All of our residents in our bachelor's program, I'll go through the different tracks here in just a moment, but one of our programs, our bachelor's in special education with an ESL endorsement, all currently serve as special education TAs in district. And as I mentioned before, have served an average of 7 years in SD308 already. So not only have they invested their time, but they want to stay with us to be teachers. Our MAT students, we have 2 MAT tracks running right now. One just finished, so not really running any longer, but they are working on their endorsements at this point to be special ed or ESL teachers. They all serve during the programming as a TA, but they get paid as a TA, but they are serving as a teacher of record during that time. They are co-teachers of record. After the programming is over, they commit to our district for anywhere between 4, it depends on the track, but 4 to 5 years. So I just wanted to share with you some demographics of our current residents. Right now, between the 3 tracks, we have 42 total residents. That's between MAT 1, which is our master's first track, our master's second track, which is MAT 2, and our bachelor's track. Of those current residents, you can see the statistics here. And we have 12 Currently, if you look on the right-hand side, we're showing female versus male. These are in all 3 of our cohorts. We had 31 females and 11 males. However, in our current cohorts that are not finished, so not our MAT1, our MAT2, and our BA, both of those groups, we have 16 women and in the first cohort, we had 16 women and 1 man. And this time, we have 12 females and 10 males in our programming. So, and you can look at the demographics here and on the left-hand side, and you can see that we had 4 Asian people who identified as Asian go through our program, and we have 10% of our students in district that are Asian. Black and African American, we had 3 of our residents identify as being Black, African American, or African American with another race. And we have 11% of our students in district. And then Hispanic, we had 13 residents identify as Hispanic, where 27.5% of our students are Hispanic. And then 22 residents were white, and we have 46.4% of our students. So really, when I outline those numbers, I outline them for the purpose of showing you that we are in line with our students. We want to make sure that we are representing our students with the teachers in our district so they can see themselves within their teachers as well. I really wanted to share this because this is something near and dear to my heart. I am a first generation college student in my family. And so that was something I asked our residents. And as you can see, out of those 42, 20 of them are first generation college students. So that's very exciting. So we're really breaking down those barriers and building longstanding staff into teachers. Here are some of our key success metrics so far, that growth mindset. We have had 17 graduated MAT teacher residents, all here, well, not all of them, but a majority of them here tonight. We had 9 of graduated leadership residents, and I'll share that in just a moment when we get to that slide. We hosted a leadership track, so they could be principals or work in administration last year, and we had 9 people graduate from that program. We have 11 new master's residents that have just started their journeys over the summer, and we have 12 bachelors of special education with the ESL teacher residents currently. We have 16 people who completed the ESL endorsement who are also here to be celebrated tonight. And we have new cohorts that just started up in January. We have 15 people going through the ESL endorsement and 17 going through the LBS, or the Learning Behavior Specialist endorsement. Those are all internal staff. So I think that's worth noting that we are also building those endorsements within our programming. Some other statistics you can see up there is we have 44% of our residents are bilingual. 27% of our residents have expressed the desire to be dual language or ESL teachers, while 65% of them have said that they want to be special ed teachers. The exciting part here, I think, and this speaks for the people in this room, is that we have 119 individuals that have filled out the interest survey in wanting to be part of our residency in district. So I wanted to just share a little bit about what our current tracks are and what the details behind them. So it's really working on merging coursework theory with practices here within 308. So our MAT program is a 1.5-year program, and they are able to work as a teacher of record or a TA per contract. While they are completing their graduation requirements. We work with Aurora University, and through Aurora, we offer different pieces here in district, such as hiring our own adjunct and supporting the site schools or supporting like our programming within the schools here in district. So with some of those commitments, we are able to get a significant tuition discount for our residents, equaling between 47 and 52%, depending on the track. So they are able to pay less than you would pay if you were going through a traditional program. Then after the MIT, after they graduate with their elementary Pell, elementary education Pell, they then get to work towards an ESL or a special ed and LBS endorsement. They have co-teachers of record, and they're co-teachers of record, and they have mentors. And I just want to acknowledge some of the mentors that are here with us tonight. If you're a mentor, could you stand up, please? They're really integral in the working with the residents and making sure that they are really learning more than we can offer just in coursework, right? This is that on-site job training. And then all of our coursework is taught by internal adjunct, and that was a lot of who you saw come up here. So if you just raise your hand if you're an adjunct. So that's our MAT track. Our BA track is a 2.5-year program. It's a special education Pell and then they also have weaved in ESL classes, so they get their ESL endorsement while completing that. They also get that significant tuition discount. They are paid during their student teaching. And right now they all serve as a special education TA or an RBT or a BT. So that's that registered behavior technician or behavior tech. So they are serving in that capacity in our district right now. They go through monthly professional learning, and all of their coursework is also taught by internal adjunct. So just thinking about the future, we currently offer those 3 tracks. However, we've been able to build a lot of different components, one being that we're offering that ESL and SPED endorsements at the discounted rate with our partners, Aurora University. And we are also looking to possibly run another leadership pathway. We have had significant interest. I probably get an email a week asking, if they have that opportunity to move into a leadership track. Our adjunct, as I already alluded to, are our current staff members, and our new pathways. We have had many discussions about where we want to go next. We have talked about grants and what we want to look at moving forward, including some ideas about our related service pathways, psychology, and even into our CTE pathways. So here are the names of our wonderful inaugural residents who are here tonight. Our leaders, I don't think any of our leader residents are here tonight, are they? Nope. So I just wanted to share, these are the 9 leader graduates. They graduated last year in December, and we have 2 of them are currently serving as administrators in district, 1 assistant principal of special education and 1 district director. We also have 3 that are serving in a coaching role, 1 that's serving as a resident mentor, 1 that is running a student leadership team in their building, and then 2 that serve within their building leadership teams. Our ESL endorsement graduates, once again. And I just want to take this moment to say thank you, first of all, to the Board of Education for supporting this program, and our residency partners, Aurora University. Our union leadership has been integral in this process when it comes to recruitment. So I want to thank them as well as supporting us in every little bump that we've hit along the way. They've been right next to us in partnership. Our site school building administrators, and some of them are here today, if you'd raise your hand. Our adjunct professors, our resident mentors, our teacher and leader residents, and of course, our community. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say on behalf of the board, thank you very much. This program, I mean, I've known this for a while, but has all the quality components of a really quality, teacher residency program. And I know the Board of Education is happy to invest in those that are already invested in our community, to have so many of our residents come from our current, staff is really great. And I will just also comment, it is, I mean, when some of us were running for the board like 2.5, almost 3 years ago, I forget how long it's been now, but this was just like an idea that we had, and to see from that moment to now is just, to see the success from that moment to now is just really tremendous. So thank you to you, to all of our partners, to our residents, mentors, everyone. So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that there's 119 people on the waiting list says that there's a good word of mouth out there, and it checks a lot of boxes. I mean, it gets our people better positions and better position in life. It gets our students better, not better teachers, but teachers. Yeah. And wow, dual language and special education; those are very hard to find. So thank you, everybody.
They all want to be one of the cool kids,
Yeah.
like everybody back here.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else? No. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can go.
Yeah, now. Yeah. But we will
Unless
be
you
talking
wanna
about early
stay.
childhood and finances.
Don't
You're
ever
like,
let
I'm
me
out.
at once. I got to move faster.
Whoa. I did it.
What did you do?
I'm good, thanks.
This
So I
thing.
have a lot of-
Oh, that's yeah.
And I talk with my hands so much anyhow.
Mama.
A weapon.
I love it.
Indeed.
I want one.
Yeah, a lot of the topics that we talked about during the campaign. Huh? Yeah. So we're moving on to 5.2 early childhood programs.
Good evening, board. The next presenters on early childhood programs, we really wanted to take an opportunity to provide you and give you some insight about our early childhood programs. We have Dr. Jennifer Groves, who is the Director of Early Childhood and our Principal of Brokaw Early Learning Center, and Julie Franchino, our Director of Grants.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Jennifer Groves, and I'm happy to share an overview of the SD308 Early Childhood Program. Throughout this presentation, we're going to provide an overview of the Early Childhood Program, the purpose, the requirements, and the current enrollment around EC, as well as an overview of the revenue and expenditure funding sources for early childhood in the state and here in SD308. So as always, we ground our work in our mission. The mission for SD308 Early Childhood is to foster the learning and growth of all children. In early childhood, we strive to empower, support, and motivate our youngest learners to thrive by providing an excellent early childhood program that's grounded in research, that's focused in the emotional, physical, mental, and social well-being of each, social emotional well-being of each child. And we're committed to partnering with parents, recognizing them as the first and primary educator of their children. This mission very much aligns with the work in our district strategic plan. It emphasizes the comprehensive educational programming, integrated social, emotional, and behavioral supports, equitable access, and developmentally appropriate student-centered learning experiences beginning at the early childhood level. There are 3 ways that students come to the SD308 EC program, and I will walk through each of those. The first way is to qualify for the Preschool for All PFA programming. This is a state-funded grant, and it serves children who are 3 to 5 years old, although 5 years old, not old enough to go to kindergarten. It's very specific in that. But it serves 3 to 5-year-olds who are identified as being at risk for academic failure. We are currently funded for 420 students. This grant requires that we use a standard aligned and research-based curriculum. It requires that children attend school for 12 and a half instructional hours per week. That aligns to a 2.5-hour day. It requires that we do developmental community screenings to identify if children would qualify for the program. It requires that we have a family support program, which includes regular parent education opportunities. And students who qualify for the PFA program are placed in what we call blended classrooms. These are a gen ed setting classroom. The second way that children would qualify for our early childhood program is by requiring special education services. Students who would be identified as needing special education or an IEP are identified through the child find process. That can be at those community developmental screenings, or it could also be students that are referred to us through the early intervention program, which is the birth to 3-year-old program in the county. So all students who qualify for early intervention EI are then screened to see if they would also qualify for an IEP. Once students are identified as needing special education services at 3 to 5 years old, we're required to provide education in the least restrictive environment appropriate to their needs. We meet that LRE requirement in one of 3 ways. Students with an IEP can be included in a PFA blended classroom. That would be more of that gen ed setting. Children with an IEP can also receive their services in a self-contained special education classroom. That is a smaller setting that is very specific to their identified needs. Or students can receive their IEP services through a walk-in speech model, which is a typically a once-a-week service that is provided at their home elementary school. The third way that children qualify for the 308 EC program is through a tuition program. We offer up to 50 tuition spots for students. These would be students who do not qualify for the PFA program and are not identified as requiring special education services. Students who enroll in the tuition program pay $400 each month in tuition, and these students would be placed in that PFA blended classroom setting, that gen ed setting. When we look at our current enrollment, we can look at it in 2 different ways. The very first pie chart shows an overview of the entire early childhood program. At the beginning of this month, we had 609 students enrolled in early childhood. Our numbers continue to grow throughout the year as students are identified as meeting either the at-risk criteria or requiring an IEP, but at the beginning of the month, we had 609 students. You can see in that first pie chart that of our entire early childhood program, nearly 83% of our students are placed in those PFA blended classrooms, that more gen ed setting. So we had a total of 504 students in those classrooms. we had 77 students, or right under 13%, that had their services met in that self-contained special education setting. And we had just under 5% of our students receiving walk-in speech services at their at the elementary school. The second pie chart breaks down the PFA blended classrooms. So as you can see, with nearly 83% of our students getting their early childhood programming in that setting, we can look at what those classrooms look like. At the beginning of January, we had 504 students in our blended classrooms. Of that, just slightly more than half of them were identified as being at risk for academic failure and qualified for that PFA program. We had 40% of the students within that program receiving IEP services. And again, this is more of that gen ed setting, so that's meeting their special education needs in that least restrictive environment. And then a small number of students, right around 6%, qualifying or enrolling in the tuition program. So a total of 31 students at the beginning of January paying tuition. As part of our program review, we felt that it was important to examine how other early childhood programming compares in the large unit districts that are close to us geographically. So this slide highlights the type of early childhood programming offered in Oswego, Indian Prairie School District 204, Plainfield School District 202, Valley View 365, West Aurora School District 129, and Yorkville School District 115. And you can see the different programmings that are offered in each of those districts. We're now going to shift into a review of how early childhood programming is funded. To walk us through this portion of the presentation, I'd like to introduce Julie Franchino, the Director of Grants.
Thanks, Jennifer. Hi, I'm Julie Franchino. I'm the Director of Grants for the district. Nice to meet all of you. And I will talk to you a little bit about the funding for the early childhood program here at 308. So this slide shows our revenue for the early childhood program. We have three main revenue sources for this program. The first revenue source is the PFA grant that Jennifer mentioned earlier. It's also called the Early Childhood Block Grant, or commonly we just refer to it as PFA. That is a pretty consistent revenue source. It's around $1.3 million a year. You will see there's a little spike there in FY24. The state of Illinois had some extra funds that year. That was very much an anomaly. It had not happened before. We do not expect it to ever happen again. It was just kind of a blip for that 1 year. Then we also get some funds from IDEA. That's the special education federal funding stream. There's a portion of that that is set aside for preschool specifically. Then that is pretty consistently around $35,000 to $45,000 a year. And then we also have our tuition, which has been consistently around $90,000 to $100,000 a year. Obviously, these vary a little bit, but those are pretty consistent. You'll also see that we had some ARP IDEA funds. So ARP was some COVID funding that we also had in 2024. Again, a one-time thing that we don't expect to happen again. The next slide shows our early childhood expenditures. You can see we have relative consistency from year to year. The bar graph shows total expenditures and how those expenditures are met between grant funds and local funds. You can see that it is mostly local funds with the exception of FY24 when we had that little spike in the grant funds. And then this slide is a comparison of the 4 years. It's really the same information, just presented in a different way. It goes left to right and kind of, it was hard to get the pie graphs to fit on one slide. So each pie represents the full cost or the full expenditures for that year. The green is our local funds, blue is grant funds, and the tiny little wedge of red is the tuition funds for that year. So you can see most of our costs, our revenue comes from local funds. So the previous slides showed our trends over the last few years. This slide shows projections just for the current school year, FY26. You can see that with respect to grants, revenue and expenses are roughly even. That's always going to be the case because grants they're a reimbursement basis. So whatever money we spend, we get reimbursed in grants. There's never going to be a big discrepancy there.
I'm sorry, can
Yeah.
I ask a question, kind of a slide back? Why was there the big jump in non-transportation expenses from 24 to 25? I mean, you're going from 5.7 million to 7.1.
I defer to our fearless leader for that
Hello,
question.
fearless leader.
There were a number of things that impacted that. I think there was a bit of an expansion in the program, if I'm not mistaken. So we had additional staff that were hired. And also we negotiated a really good agreement with our TAs who make up a big chunk of the program. And if you remember before then, we had problems keeping our TA. We depended heavily on consultants who were paying sometimes twice, 3 times as much as we were paying our internal employee. So we reached an agreement with them back in 25 and 26. So those are the factors that made up that significant jump in expenditure, expansion in the program, and reward on recruitment, paying our TAs better than they have been paid in the past.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, Raphael. So the projections for FY26, again, local revenue, because as it's represented in this slide, that consists of the tuition funding only. So the local expenses are significantly, the expenses are going to outpace the revenue because revenue in this slide is reflective only of tuition that we take in, which is, as you've seen earlier, very, very small.
In like 6 months, they'll be like even, right? Is that how
I'm
it
sorry,
works?
can you say that again?
No.
What is
No.
it typing? So local revenue though. Oh, wait, a
So
little bit confused.
I guess the takeaway from here is that the program is funded disproportionately by local funds, which is property taxes. Now, the program, if is supposed to, the majority of the fund is supposed to come from the grant, and we can expect some subsidies, some small subsidies from local funds. But the way our program is run right now is the local fund is taking up a big chunk of the program, which long-term is not sustainable.
So the majority of the funding is coming from our general
Yes,
funding.
general revenue
Not,
fund, yes.
it's not being funded by the tuition or by the state grants.
That's correct. The tuition is a very small sliver
Yeah.
of the about 100,000, and the state grant, it's about 1.4 consistently, which is reimbursement based, and then IDA is about 38,000 on average. So the big bulk of the revenue that we use to fund the program is from general revenue, local property tax fund. Yes.
Is that typical? Do we know if that's typical of like surrounding districts? Is that how, 204 funds theirs? Would their numbers look similar? Or are we supporting preschool at a higher rate with our early childhood, at a higher rate with our property taxes?
As far as we could tell, we did try to analyze their AFR data. It did appear that way. It's a little hard to parse that out in an AFR.
It appears that that's similar or that,
Yes.
Yeah.
But the difference, though,
But it's really hard to parse that
the
out.
district that we compare ourselves to, financially, they're on a better footing than we are. So it's kind of like looking at your neighbor who makes X amount of money. living a certain lifestyle and saying we all spend the same amount of money, except the neighbor might be bringing substantially more money in every month than the person comparing himself to the neighbor. So that's the difference.
We use local funds for lots of different things. So,
And the local revenue here is just tuition money.
In this grant.
in this
grant.
grant, yeah.
In this grant, yes. Okay.
Raphael, when you say it's not sustainable, what does that, I mean,
What it means is that if you have a program where revenue is coming from local fund and the program doesn't sustain itself over time, the goal is whatever program that we have, we want the expenses and the revenue to mirror each other. I mean, there could be years of slight variance, a year or two, but when you are, in this particular case, at the end of this year, we project in revenue the expenses to outpace the revenue that we get by 7.7 million. That's a significant difference.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah.
but we do, this is.
but we're still funding
We do
it.
this for every single thing that we do, pretty much. We use local funds.
Right?
But the difference has to come from somewhere, is what I'm
Right.
saying.
Yeah.
Right.
It
the
has to come
difference
from somewhere.
What the state or the federal government don't give us, we support with local funds.
To some extent, to some extent.
To the extent.
But if you look at that,
Well, to a decent extent, because a lot of our money comes from local taxes.
yeah, but if you look at that though, the revenue in this case for the program that is dedicated to that program, which is the preschool for all and IDA, we're looking at $1.4 million. And the expenses is $7.7 million. That's a significant variance.
I would get into a philosophical argument that we would end up paying more in the long run if we don't support our earliest students. So it's unsustainable to me. That means the short term. That's not thinking long term to me. So I'm going to push back pretty hard on that because.
But I think this is just the current snapshot as it is now.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
I think it's just
the
something
word
to consider.
unsustainable.
Something to
I don't
consider
like
in
that.
our financial conversations. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think it is important to consider, considering the fact that we have some headwind with the district's finances from now for the next 5 years. And part of that, which I'm doing a presentation about right after this, part of that has to do with things that we have no control on, which also impact us. State revenue. The state is structurally in a bad place financially. And federal revenue, which impacts the state directly. So every little bit counts. So we have to look at everything as a whole and just try to make sure as much as possible that the revenue we take in matches the expenses that we spend.
Yeah, I look at it from different pots, and what would we prioritize? So, yeah, I would have to see. To me, it's there's priorities that we also have to consider because if
There's no recommendation right now
Yeah.
to like
Yeah.
be cutting something. It's just like a piece of the puzzle. And if it were to come down to, hey, we're in this, we need to cut this much money,
well,
then as a
I'm
board,
just putting that out
we
there.
could decide
Yeah, that
early childhood, yes, or whatever it is that we decide.
And if I may add, when it comes to early childhood, no one in any way is suggesting we compromise early childhood. We know early learners are some of our most vulnerable students. We value unequivocally early childhood in this district. I mean, it's a
by
growing
doing something
population.
different,
I think
different
it's
ways,
just giving opportunity to
different, being more efficient. I have no problem with that. Yeah.
yeah, it's just an opportunity
just
to
said
give you a
I'm
whole
gonna be-
picture of the amazing program that we have, and then think of all the, what it means to have that program and sustain that program.
And one thing that I will point out, if you look at the transportation expenses that has been presented to us here, the total amount of that is very, very similar to how we ended fiscal year 25 in the deficit. The amount mirrors each other. So I just, for what it's worth, I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that, yeah.
Can I ask a quick question before we go to that? Is there a way at this point to provide us with data on like the success of this program? Like how many kids in the PFA program are actually succeeding once they get into elementary, junior? Is there even a way to present that data at this point?
Sure. At the early childhood level, our grant requires that we maintain portfolio growth for students, and that's unique to early childhood. So we can look at growth over time within the early childhood program, but there is not an equivalent assessment tool that we use at the elementary to be able to break that down.
So we wouldn't be able to present that. And also, is there data on special education students that start in the Brokaw program that eventually wind up not needing services? That might be a question for Yvette.
I can speak to students within the program, and we do look at data in terms of students that are moving from less restricted environments into more restrictive environments in preschool and the other way. And so that is something that we see frequently within early childhood is students that are starting in that more restrictive, when I talked about those 3 different placements, that special ed smaller classroom. And we do have a good number of students that move into the less restrictive environment and then go on to gen ed kindergarten. So we see that.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's very fluid.
Yeah.
yeah, it's, because you're going to get students that, if they never had pre-K, they would
Right.
not have any potentially not have the manners to even be in, like a lot of it's social emotional, a lot of it is getting along, a lot of it is taking
Just
turns.
understanding how to go to school.
Yeah,
What you need to
and,
do at school.
Some of these are some tough cases too.
Yeah, I was going to add in that when kind of getting back to what SD308 early childhood is, it is taking the students in our community that are identified as having at-risk factors and special education factors. And we do keep data through either the IEP or through that portfolio to make sure that they are making growth throughout their time in our program. But it is a very unique population that we are serving because all but those tuition students are being identified as having those at-risk factors.
I have one
Yeah.
other quick question. If a child fits in both category of PFA and special ed, where are they put into your pie chart?
Yep. So part of the PFA program does serve special education students. So those PFA classrooms are really the gen ed classroom, and they have students that only qualify for at-risk factors, and students who qualify. Having an IEP would be an identified risk factor for success. And so
if they have an IEP, they're pulled out of the PFA category. So so some of the kids in the PFA category also fit the special ed, but the special ed category does not include PFA.
Yep. So there's kind of
Yeah.
3 ways to come to Brokaw and 2 different types of classrooms once you get to Brokaw.
Yeah.
The PFA classrooms include students that are only PFA and students that have IEPs. They can count toward those 420 PFA spots. Then, and that's 82% of our kids. About half of them have an IEP, half of them are at risk. Very, very few pay tuition. Then we have another group of students that are not appropriate for that least restrictive gen ed setting. Those students only have IEPs and are in smaller classrooms, self-contained classrooms. So,
Okay.
There's just kind of touching on, there's so much research that this is the biggest bang for your dollar when you're spending on pre-K. My worry is you do anything there, you're going to pay triple in 3 years.
No, and I understand. I just
And
wondering if
then,
there's
like maybe we have, because you don't even know that the kid has a problem
Right.
from 3, 4, and 5. So that's why I'm like, yeah, I want to think long term.
And
Let's
Dr.
hear about
Groves,
the buses.
right, Dr. Groves and Julie are presenting information just about the program. There is no recommendation to change our current program, but there were pieces of both the programmatic review and then also some of our expenditures that we just wanted to make sure that we were sharing in light of our preparation for next year.
I just heard got got a little bit into
Yes. So there is,
into my wheelhouse. So
Okay, so we do have a little more detail about early childhood transportation specifically. So this slide shows our projected transportation expenses for early childhood for the current fiscal year. We're projecting about 4.9, just under $5 million in early childhood transportation expenses. That consists of 1.9 million or 39.7% in salaries, 2.6 million or 53.4% in external contractor costs, and 341,000 or 6.9% in overhead, which consists of fuel, insurance, in-house fleet maintenance. So pretty unavoidable things. I want to explain a little bit about how early childhood transportation claim reimbursement works. So unlike with K through 12 students, districts are not required to provide transportation to regular education pre-K students, regardless of where they live. Districts are only obligated to provide transportation to special education pre-K students whose IEPs specify transportation as an educational requirement. For those students whose IEPs specify transportation, the district only receives 61% of the cost of the reimbursement, or 61 cents on the dollar. So the reimbursable cost, we only get 61% of that. We currently transport 397 early childhood students, but only 75 of those students qualify for that 61% reimbursement. Our transportation department, in an effort to bring these costs under control or just analyze that, they conducted a cost analysis and assessed some ways that we could realize significant savings over our current operational model. What they have discovered or determined was that the current early childhood transportation expenses, as the previous slide showed, they're projected to be 4.9 million this school year, and over half of that comes from external contractors. If we reduce the early childhood transportation services to transport only the mandated students, we would be able to eliminate 17 bus routes. Eliminating those routes would allow us to eliminate external contracts. And that would give us greater control over the safety of the driver, the safety standards of the buses in general, the driver training, the routing efficiency, all sorts of factors that are really hard to control with external contractors. The plan then would be projected to save us 4.3 million because we'd be able to repurpose our own drivers to cover the routes that we needed to cover. That would save us 4.3 million, relieving most of the 4.9 million cost of early childhood transportation and making a huge impact on the overall transportation fund deficit. Questions?
Can you go back a slide? Sure. Does that include the reimbursement, the savings? Like, if you're talking about only transporting the kids who are required to because of IEPs, does that reimbursement, never mind. I answered my own question.
Like, is that factored?
So I have a question real quick. So that's 322 students that would go without bus or transportation. That's a lot. So how do we navigate that, especially talking to parents, if we are to go down this pathway? Because I will say, even being a stay-at-home, well, not stay-at-home, but working from home, the bus transportation is huge. It's monumental. And I can only imagine the parents that have to go into the office, what that would look like. So have we thought about, if we, again, are to go down this pathway as a true consideration, what that will look like for parents who do not have, one, the affordability, accessibility, and all the things to get their child to early learning center?
Now, one of the things that we just did, just out of curiosity, we did a survey. One of our team members reached out to every large unit district, Ludi district in Illinois, and that offered EC program to see how many of them offers transportation, how many of them don't. And what we came away is that the majority of them only offer transportation to students who have transportation in the IEP, with IEP and transportation in the IEP. So since the program, just to speak bluntly, because the program doesn't require that we transfer early childhood student. A, B, we as a district cannot afford to keep paying for something that we're not mandated to do. We just thought it makes sense to bring it to the board for discussion and review.
Yeah,
Well, I'm going to say, sorry, because my youngest went to Brokaw, love Brokaw, huge staple in the community. So it would be what I think as a parent, before my son went to Brokaw, we were paying, let's just say $1,000 going to daycare, right? So hypothetically, from an educational lens, the child is still kind of learning maybe the same curriculum per se that they would learn at Brokaw. So to me, if I was in that predicament per se, I would probably pay that $1,000 a month, knowing my child would have to be at that particular location from, let's just say 8 to 5 until I'm done with work. So I think we would lose out on the head count because 322, that's a lot of kids. And again, when I think about affordability, and now as a parent, I have to find transportation, I have to find maybe babysitting, all the things, that's money from a parent's stance.
I have a quick question. First, I know you two were up here probably far longer than you anticipated. So thank you very much. I think this is actually more of a question for Mr. Obafemi, but I know this probably predates your time in this role, but do you know why the decision was made or when the decision was made to bus all students and what went into that versus only busing the ones for whom there is reimbursement?
I would defer to Dr. Groves about that.
This is my, I believe, 9th year in a role that has early childhood. I was previously an elementary principal with a satellite EC program. So I can only speak for the time that I've been in the district, but we have had transportation for all students in early childhood up until, I believe, the 2016 year. At that time, we removed transportation for tuition students. That was no longer an option. And we've remained with transportation for PFA and special education students since that time. I don't know prior to that if there was a time when transportation was not afforded to all students. Okay. As far back as the records I have, we've had transportation for students in the early childhood program.
Okay.
We started in 2012 and we had busing.
Okay.
So just to add to that, there are things that we've done as a district, as a legacy.
Right.
I think there may have been time when as a district we can afford it. There may have been time as a district we did not look at the financial impact of decisions that we make. But I think looking at the way things are financially from the state, from the federal government, and I think it's important for us to revisit every and all opportunity for us to be able to provide a good education for our kids while coming up with different ways of making sure that we make financially prudent decisions.
My other question, I think based on the numbers you gave, I think we were at maybe like 60 to 70% capacity of our tuition students. Is that typical that we have a gap there? And what do you, if so, is there something you attribute that to, or is it just kind of?
When we look at numbers for tuition, it has been decreasing.
Okay.
And I think, we have not surveyed families as to why. We did, as I had indicated, in 2016, we changed the program to no longer offer transportation for those tuition students, even as a pay for option. And we did see a decrease. That's when we lowered the number of spots. And we did see, I can't remember the number. Math was not my forte. But I think it was around a 30% decrease when that ended. And we have steadily declined in tuition. Again, it's a 2.5-hour program, and there are other programs in the community, so that may be a factor.
Thank you.
So yeah, with what Brandy was saying, it's tough because you drop your kid off at 7:45 or whatever it is, and the pickup is 2.5 hours later. It's not like, so it's that one's
changing.
What's that?
The economy is changing.
Yeah, it's just tough. I'll let everybody else go. And then
Yeah, I guess my consideration is I don't know if this is a recommendation or if it's good if this transportation piece is a recommendation or if it comes to the board for or what that looks like
This
or
is,
if you're
I
just
think-
looking for conversation. But
yeah, this is just kind of an intro to.
yeah, I think I'm weighing in my mind what the cost benefit analysis is of spending, you know, $4+ million on early childhood transportation. I don't know how many students wouldn't be able to go anymore to early childhood because we wouldn't provide transportation, and how that would impact all sorts of things. So I don't know, it's just something I feel like I need to think more about in regards to the cost benefit analysis of educating our students at such a young age. But I understand your point. Like we are in a financial, like we can't control the outside financial features. And so are we at a point where we need to say right now we can only do what is mandated, or can we think about other areas that so that we can support this area if it's more bang for our buck in regards to early childhood?
So I sent some questions earlier and I sent them like at 4:00. So that was pretty.
Yeah, we can talk about it. We can talk about those questions.
So I took a look, we're busing 400 kids. That's about $12,000 a kid for transportation. That's a lot of money. And I was asking, it sounds like you know the answer. Why is it so expensive relative compared to the?
Because unlike the regular transportation, because of their schedule, right? They ride along, right? We can put them in with regular students. Regular students, they normally go to school for 6 hours. So we cannot kind of like insert them with regular student transportation because they're only in school for 2.5 hours. So they have their own routes, their own drivers, their own everything, which is separate and distinct from the regular transportation that we run. And additionally, even when we get reimbursed this year 61 cents on the dollar. I want to point out last year it was 71 cents on the dollar. Do you see a trend here? It's a race to the bottom. So what I suspect is that with the way things are looking for the state this year and into next year, transportation is considered mandated categorical funds. It's not required for state to fund. So when the state government is tight with money, they tend to prorate transportation even lower. So I'm saying that
for the 75 kids, for the 322, we're getting nothing.
Right, we get nothing, even for the 71.
So go ahead.
If I can also add, in addition to the number of routes for early childhood, most of our early childhood routes require a monitor. So there's an additional human.
And are they generally smaller buses?
Yes, and they actually also have car seats.
I'm just trying to figure out why.
Right. And car seats
times
too.
more than others.
They have car seats that they also put them in,
And-
because you're talking about 3 to 5 year olds.
And then it's
In our
servicing the entire
K-12,
district, right?
correct. And our K-12 routes kind of congregate at different stops,
Yeah.
where our EC routes are essentially door to door. So there's less students on a bus, whether it's smaller routes or additional services, not only in different apparatus, but also
We could do it more
monitors.
efficiently if we had them on the bus for 2 hours, right?
No,
I'm not
but-
saying that we do
But
that.
as we talk about best practice,
in order to get kids to school in a timely manner, it costs a lot of money.
No, but these are
Because of
small
that.
buses.
That's
Like
what I'm
even
saying.
if
Not necessarily small. We don't have enough small buses. That's the other part. It would be nice if we can put them just in small buses, but there are not enough small buses to go around. So
looks like
what
we
we have
outsource
to
this
do a
too.
lot of time, we put them in regular buses.
Yeah.
We have to try to modify those buses to accommodate them because of their size.
So you've got the expense of running a full route, but you're dividing it among fewer students.
Right, and longer distances
Right.
probably on average.
Yep.
Yeah, so that kind of, one of the things that we were discussing is, can we charge for transportation, but you can't charge 13,000.
I don't think it's practicable to be able to charge the real cost of transporting.
You know, I am concerned about potential declining enrollment without transportation. How do we mitigate? How do we make sure that we're servicing the kids that need it? Because, you know, like you said, these are students that they have challenges. And so family might have challenges. If we were to, let's just say, do you think that if we had unlimited enrollment that we would be able to, that qualify for PFA, we would be able to like put 1,000 kids in this class? You know what I'm saying? Like, are we going to be able to service enough, the same number of students? It might not be the same cohort of students. Do you think?
I don't understand. So
I can try to answer the question.
I mean, when we have community screenings and they are filled over the summer for the entire year, we are, even with the program as it is, we're not capturing all of the students who could potentially qualify.
Right. So my point is we're servicing 600 students, 500 for the PFA. Would we expect to still have 500?
Well, but we are servicing currently more than what the PFA grant aligns to.
Right, that was like
So,
420, but
right.
then 30 of them was a tuition, and so we were probably like 50 over.
So
Yeah.
we're about
In that PFA graph.
about
looking at
100
that.
over.
Correct.
And then I know that, you know, the tuition program probably doesn't pay for itself, but what would happen if we did expand that? What's that break even number, you know?
Yeah, we can do that calculation.
Yeah.
What I suspect, it would not be programmatically feasible because the cost of running that by purely tuition, I don't think the folks that we targeted will be in a position to afford.
Yeah, because $100,000 is one class.
And even with that,
No, but I'm saying if we were to figure out some way of lowering the costs.
So I have a question. Hypothetically, if we're looking to go down this route, are we also looking to decrease the teacher assignment? Because my gumption would be there would be less headcount, right? So would that mean we'd have the same necessity need for teachers at this point? So let's just say the 322 students and half of them decided to no longer go to Brokaw. Are we still keeping that same head count from a teacher?
Well, that's why I was
No,
asking.
no.
We think that we would be able
Right.
to fill those.
So how is that a growth for our program? How is that a growth for our community? I think we're missing.
I think what we're doing is just sharing information with the board as it relates to the early childhood program. No determination has been made, no decision has been made.
No.
And I think we're sharing this in view of the fact that our budgetary picture in the next 5 years looks very challenging. And we have to come up with ways to manage the limited resources that we get, which I suspect it was lower this year from the state in the form of EBF. It's going to be, it will be at least frozen, if not lower, for 27. And based on what we're hearing from the federal government, the flow through that the state used to get from the Fed, all indication is that it's not going to happen. So there will be some financial challenges, at least for the next 5 years, for the district to manage. So there has to be options to be considered. And what we're just doing is sharing this as an option. No decision has been made as to what direction to go. But there's a limit to different options. And we're sharing all those options with the board for the board to give us directive as to how you all would like for us to proceed.
So the purpose
go
of
ahead.
really the presentation was to share information not only about the program, but about the current revenue and expenditures. There is no recommendation at this time, as Mr. Obafemi shared, over the next couple of months. We are facing, some concerns related to state and federal funding that we then will be bringing a variety of different options, looking across our system for some cost-saving measures. So at this time, this was just information through the presentation. We would, of course, bring any formal recommendation, both for information and for action, at some time as Mr. Obafemi and his team prepares the budget for our next fiscal year.
And just the last thing, just to point out, so the $4.2 million savings is equivalent to the salary of 60 of our teachers here.
Wow.
Just to put it in perspective.
Can I ask a quick question? Do we still have satellite locations for early childhood?
We have currently 2 satellite locations,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good discussion.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah. All right. 5.3, financial savings and cost management update. Kind of a
Thank you,
breakdown
Mr.
of what
President.
things today, right? Yeah, more to
So,
come though.
well, we thought it'll be a good idea to provide an overview to the board as well as the committee of the financial savings that we've been able to achieve the last couple of years, as well as cost management update of how we've really tried very hard to manage the funds that the community and the taxpayers have entrusted to the district. Now, one thing that we wanted to show is that we really work hard from day one to be very transparent with the community as well and our colleagues about how the different steps that we have taken to manage the money and to ensure that we can provide an excellent education experience for our students, and also to allow the community to get an insight to how we are managing financial resources, both short-term and long-term. Now, as I've mentioned earlier, and I think last board meeting, I included a summary of the Governor's Office of Management and Budget financial projection in the board package that shows, I can't overstate this, how tough things are going to be in the state, and consequently, how it's going to impact education. And so we're in some tough financial position moving forward. So in the decisions that we've made over the last couple of years, as far as savings, what we've done, we've used 4 really key compass, if you will, to guide us in making decisions. One thing is to protect classroom instruction from any cuts, prioritize student safety and services, use data in making decisions instead of just making decisions arbitrarily, and looking for ways to achieve efficiency without negatively impact the quality education that we provide to our students in the district. So wanted to go through some of the savings that we've been able to achieve over the last couple of years. In the area of staffing and benefits, we've been able to save $4.8 million, and that's right. And we did that primarily by getting away from an area where we used to employ a lot of consultants to provide us with staff members. What we did in negotiating collective bargaining agreement, we tried to pay a staff member more than they were making before, but still less than what we're paying consultants who provide us staff members. Now, those consultants, when they provide us staff, those staff were not binded to the district. They just came here to work, and those people shifted from day to day. There was no consistency. There was no commitment to the mission and the vision of the school. So by bringing that internally, it results in substantial savings. And as it relates to benefit, what we also did, we moved away from from self-insured. It used to be that health insurance was self-insured, health, dental, vision. And that is a good thing if we were a wealthy district. I mean, we're a well-resourced district, but we're not a wealthy district. So what we decided to do, and when you self-insure, what you do, you put a set amount of money in a segregated health savings account, if you will, and you hire Blue Cross Blue Shield or United Healthcare, a firm, to help you with your health system. And what you do is every time you incur cost, you have to then pay for from that segregated account. Even though you may need that money for other things, you cannot use that. So what we thought was a better idea is to actually look for a co-op that is made up of other school districts, such as we are. They're educational institute school district, and they have similar risk profile as we did. So we joined that. So the first year alone, in doing that, we saved over $1 million, just the first year. And the savings is continued. So if you added the staffing decisions that we've made, coupled with the way we've decided to pay for benefits, what we've done is we've been able to save the close to $5 million that I pointed out. Something similar here with insurance and risk management, particularly in the area of liability, property and casualty insurance, and workers' comp. Previously, what we did as it relates to property and casualty, we used a broker, and the broker placed us with a county, a co-op. Now, I don't need to remind anyone that we're not a county, we're a school district. We don't have police officers who carry guns. We don't have nursing home. We don't have jails. We don't have any of those things. So we were a different risk profile from that of a county. And the slap on the face as it relates to that is we were not allowed to sit on the board when decisions were being made because we were told, you're not a county, we just want your money. We don't want you to have any input. At the end of the day, what we were doing was subsidizing insurance coverage for county when we were not a county. So we moved into a collective liability insurance co-op made up of 300 school districts with similar risk profile. And what came of that, the beautiful thing about that too is, even though we are paying less, we have better coverage. The prior coverage that we have with the county co-op, we didn't have, for example, sexual molestation insurance. We didn't have cyber coverage. Currently, we have $50 million in sexual molestation insurance. We have $2 million in cyber coverage. So we have a more robust coverage, even though it's costing us less, because the group that we share risk with in the pool, they have similar risk profile.
And cyber insurance is expensive.
Yes. And then another thing that we've done to achieve savings, purchasing, is contract negotiations that we've done. I will talk about that later on in the PowerPoint, but we've been able to achieve $2.1 million in purchasing and contract negotiation savings. The last thing I want to point out was bond refinancing. We had bonds that we issued back in 2016 that were due to be refinanced because it's been 10 years. Once you issue a public bond, you can refinance at the callable as it is, which is a fancy word to say refinance after 10 years. We were able to do that. And now with all the smart financial decisions that we've made in the district over the last couple of years, when we went to a rating call with Moody's, there has to be an independent entity that has to rate the district's debt before we can put it on the market for sale. We had a rating call, and we were rated well. Moody's provided a rating that shows a really good outlook for our finances. So when we went out to the market to sell those bonds were oversubscribed. What it meant is that there were more investors willing to buy those bonds that we had available. And when that happens, what happened is the interest rate goes down that we ended up paying. So initially, before we went through the overrating process, we projected we were going to save about $5 million working with our municipal advisors and our underwriters. At the end of the subscription period, when the sale happened in October, we actually ended up saving $11.3 million. And I want to point out those savings went directly to taxpayers. Those interest rate that they would have paid in the bond and interest portion of their property taxes now, that would not be paid because of the savings that were realized.
Mr. Obafemi, the 4 different categories of estimated savings, roughly over what time period was that? So
Over just the last couple of years.
Okay,
Over the last 2 years.
I have one other question. The money that we are now making from putting our reserves into interest-bearing accounts is not on there. You should.
It's not on there. I will speak to that. Yes,
Okay.
I will speak to that. Thank you for bringing that up.
Oh, I have like 2 pages of things.
Okay.
I'm checking them off.
And then some of the other things that we've done is for 20 years straight, we did what is called tax anticipation warrant, which is that we couldn't manage our money. We didn't do cash flow projections. So what we did when we got our property taxes, first installment in June, second installment in September, we just put in a savings account because we didn't know how much we needed to be able to finish the year. What we've started to do is we created a good cash flow projection, working with our municipal advisors, and now we know exactly how much money that we needed every month. So the excess amount, we did what was called laddering, whereby the money that we didn't need, we invested it in a conservative investment that complies with Illinois municipal investment policy, which means we're not engaged in any casino. We put the money in U.S. Treasury, bonds, bills, CDs, and money market accounts that are fully insured and that serves to preserve the capital. So by doing that, we were able to get some significant investment income. Just the last couple of years, the conservative estimate of how much we've saved is north of $3 million. And by also now doing the tax anticipation warrant, we've saved $600,000 in cost of insurance just over the last couple of years. And then something else I wanted to point out, transportation, as we've mentioned before, has been a significant pain point for us as a district. We're a big district. We transport kids over 68 square miles. That's a big district. In any given day, we transport between 13 to 14,000 kids every single day. So there's a lot of buses required to do that. So there are ways that we've done things to be able to realize some savings. We saved over $1 million when we did 72 leases. We leased 72 buses to replace the ones that we do last year. The $1 million is just from the finance cost. In the past, we leased our buses from a company, and the company also did the financing for us. It's kind of like when you go out to buy a car, you buy your car, and you get your finances from the car dealer too. And we all know the car dealers, they don't really finance that car. What they do, they look for financing from a third party, and they get points put in on the finance cost. So they make money on the sale of the car, they make money on the financing. We were not willing to do that. What we said is we went to a comparative process. We asked the bus company to provide us rates, and then we went out to other finance company whose sole job is just to provide financing, just like you would do if you were buying a car. You can go to the the car company, say finance it for me, or you can go to a credit union, or you can go to another bank and just have them compete for your business. And in this case, that's what we did. And just from doing that, we were able to save over $1 million.
Can I jump in? So transportation is dear to my heart as a parent, not just playing. So when we say leasing, do we feel like there could have been, and I'll use again the statement hypothetically, another opportunity? Because when I think about our current state with transportation, and these buses are not our buses, right? And yes, we went through contracts, and I would believe that there are probably standard language stating, if we'll call it requirements, right? In order for, this to happen, then this needs to happen in regards to just maybe our transportation as far as the delays, our students not having transportation, our students, all the things regarding the transportation issues we've had, honestly, probably since the beginning of the school year. How has this lease brought to fruition? Yes, we've saved $1 million, but from a parent stance, I don't think that saved me, and I'm sure probably a lot of other parents in the district who are still currently probably still going through transportation issues.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up. The issue as it relates to what you brought up has to do with driver shortages. And there's a significant number of folks who used to drive buses before COVID who have decided they didn't want to drive buses anymore. For the longest time before COVID, the folks who drove buses for us were retirees. They were retired, they were pensioners. They were looking for something to do. So they would drive 2 hours in the morning for pickup, and they would drive another 2 hours at the end of the day for drop off. Those folks were really, really negatively impacted by COVID. We lost a lot of them. They had underlying health issues. So when they got COVID, it was really bad for them. We lost a lot of our elderly community members to COVID. And the ones that didn't die, who got really put down by COVID, most of them decided they didn't want to drive buses anymore. So what we've had to do, we've now had to look for other folks to drive buses. We've tried to do things to make that process attractive. We've turned driving a bus into a full-time position, where it used to be 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the we've made it into a full-time position. When we did that, though, there was some significant financial cost to us. We now have to provide health insurance to them. We also have to provide pension benefits from them. Even with that, we know driving a bus is a calling. It's not really a job. So even right now, there's still a shortage of bus drivers. We're not the only one who is experiencing that. It's actually all over the country and even in Canada. So to answer your question, part of what we're dealing with is that there's just a severe shortage of drivers. We don't have enough drivers to go around. And some of our drivers too, they get sick, even though we don't have enough to go with, to begin with. And you have folks who get sick. Some of them, you may have 20 of them who call in a given day. Then we have to scramble to make up that route. We're doing everything we can to recruit as many drivers as we can. But it's a lengthy process from wanting to become a driver and getting your CDL, going through training, getting that license, going through safety before we can let you drive a bus with our kids on it. And what we find out sometimes is even after we get those folks hired, we get them their CDL, we get them driving, we realize school bus is not the calling for them. They are not suited to drive a bus with 60 kids in the back of it, whom you're trying to drive. They don't listen to you. It takes a kind of person to be able to work the magic necessary to be a bus driver.
So to address the question, though, the buses being leased are not impacting our staffing.
No.
That a lot of the delays that we have experienced and potentially continue to experience is really derived from our current levels of staffing, not leasing versus owning our buses.
And to even address that as it relates to leasing, I was going to talk about that. In the past, what we did, we leased the buses, and after 5 years, we gave them back. And then we started over again. The last lease that we did last year, the 72 units, we actually did lease to own. We didn't, and lease to own, we paid slightly more over the next 5 years. And what we were doing, instead of then giving the buses back, we are planning to keep those buses for 5 additional years. So we actually own those buses after 5 years, free and clear. What we found out in doing our analysis is that at the end of 5 years, on average, our buses only have 22,000 miles on it. There's no reason to rent buses and give them back with 22,000 miles, only for the bus company to now turn around and resell those buses or release those buses and make double the amount of money. We're not doing that anymore. We're keeping those buses for 10 years. And by doing that, that was where we got the additional $12 million. So the $12 million will be used for another 5 years by extending the useful life from 5 to 10. That's an equivalent savings of $12 million that will be paid for lease and acquisition.
And just my last question, was the OTA a part of the whole transportation leasing agreement and so forth, as far as just having conversations, understanding what that looked like, and they had their buy-in, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We've never had a better relationship with our colleagues at OTA. Yes. We made it a point to extend to extend ourselves to make sure that every decision that we make as it relates to their work stream, they have a say in it.
And in addition to our OTA, Mr. Obafemi and our transportation department has really tried to move, he mentioned earlier, our contracted buses and decrease our level of routes that are under contract to then be in-house and really covered through our OTA members. So that's something in partnership with OTA, even amongst the shortage that we're trying to move, just because it not only gives tighter controls and oversight for student experience and safety, but better communication within the transportation department.
Thank you. And related to that, the contract that we have with our third-party provider used to be, they will guarantee payment for so many routes, right? And what we're trying to do, we're trying to be more efficient with how we do transportation. They will guarantee payment. Sometimes they didn't even have the drivers to do the work, but they will guarantee X amount of payment. We negotiated the contract. We got our attorney involved and say, if you are not doing the route, we're not going to pay you. And those are some of the things that we've done that actually can have here. So we're doing everything we can to be more efficient with how we run transportation. We know there's a cost overrun there, so we're doing everything within our power to make sure that we reduce cost without impacting negatively the experience of our customers who are students. Thanks. So another area where we've had savings was copier and duplication aware. Now, we've been with the same copier company. We came to the board last year, since 2016. And what they did is every year when the contract ran up, every couple of years, they increased the price, no question asked, because we didn't go out and bid on it. But for the first time last year, we said once the contract was up, we were going to bid it. And initially, I had some on my team who said, no one is probably going to show up to bid on that contract. When we had the bid release, we required a meeting for the prospective bidders to be able to ask questions about what kind of equipment we had, any questions they had. We had standing room, there were about 15 to 18 companies there attending with interest in bidding. And at the end of the day, once we did the bidding, the company that's been charging us all this money, they were the winning bidder. And the savings that they provided us with new equipment, better services, amount to $250,000 a year for the next 5 years. Same company. Just because we went out, we said we would just not take the prices that you've been giving us in the past without seeing what the market can provide. And then the last thing I wanted to point to that is the computer devices. Same situation. We have the same company. Every time we needed to buy computer devices, we just ordered it from the same company. We decided last year we would not do that. We'll let the marketplace determine what the best price going in the marketplace and some of the service that we felt we needed. We did an RFP, we released it. This is the saving that we realized. Additionally, we had better computer than we've had before, and we also received what is called a white glove service, which meant they programmed the computer and image it by the time we got it. Savings of $1.1 million, better equipment, better service. So essentially, this is a recap of the things that I've talked about earlier, which is that we're trying to make sure that we negotiate a better contract with our staff member. We're trying to make sure that we negotiate better benefits so we can save as much money and we can strategically make sure that we use our taxpayers' money well. And this is insurance and risk. I talked about this earlier, where the savings that I mentioned earlier came from. And transportation leases, I mentioned that earlier. And I just wanted to focus on the fact that what we're doing right now is RFP, which is request for proposal when we needed to buy. Instead of just saying you've done business with us, you're a legacy vendor, we'll continue to do business with you. We're saying we do business with whomever it is that can give us the best product at the best price. And RFP, request for bid. And we also use RFQ if you remember, we are in the pack space fixed right now in OE. Since the repair that we needed was more standardized, only a handful of people, architects, have the ability to be able to respond and do the work we needed. So we did an RFQ for that, where we had the design of what we needed to be done, and we just needed to have qualified people provide us pricing, a description of the work they needed to do in order to get it done. So those are the processes that we've been using to get better pricing. Something I wanted to point out, though, what we inherited was that for our drivers at car leases, we had a company I'm not going to name. We actually, they were charging us exorbitant money in perpetuity every year for the 6 cars that we had. They were charging us a lot of money for it. And when we came aboard, we had a conversation with them. They would never provide us the contract that we signed with them. We had to go back and forth to find it because they knew as soon as we saw that contract, we would be just outdone by what we signed. So we fought with them, we were able to get the contract. And what we found out is if we had gone outright and bought those 6 drivers' cars instead of leasing them in perpetuity from them, every year we'll be saving over $100,000. Now, I just mentioned that the average salary of our educator is $70,000. So that's a 1.5 teachers FTE that we could have saved by just buying our own car. There's no reason to lease 6 cars and pay the leases in perpetuity and also pay for repairs on top of that too, a repair contract. We have mechanics that are employed by the district. They can do the work required. And I talked about the TAWs that we've done over the last 20 years that we're not doing anymore. So each year we save between $100,000 to $200,000, depending on the amount of the issuance. So over the last 3 years, we saved about $600,000. And I talked about the computer devices and the savings of 1.5. And so in case folks are wondering, how have we used the savings that we realized over the last couple of years? What we've done is we've shored up the district finances, and which was one of the reasons when we went out to do the refinancing on the bond that I talked about, we were able to get a low interest rate, higher subscription rate, because our balance sheets look better. We use some of the savings to provide instructional support. We are buying more resources that our educators need to provide better services to our kids in the classroom. And we've used some of the money to do some of the capital and operational needs that we have as a district. But we know we need more than we'll ever be able to do as far as capital and operational need. And what we've also done, which I mentioned earlier, we've been able to recruit, retain, and reward our staff by engaging in bargaining where we actually respect our staff member. We pay them well. And then what we've also been doing is trying to increase our fund balance for a rainy day, because we know there are times when there's volatility, we want to be able to have enough money squirreled away that we don't have to borrow money at a payday loan rate, like I always say. So by doing this, we are hoping that by not borrowing money unnecessarily, we are doing a better job of using our taxpayers' money. We're making financial decisions that ensure that our money are being spent effectively instead of wastefully. And looking ahead, we plan to continue to do cost control and to be efficient in how we spend money. And we continue to monitor the economy to be able to react in case there are things that are beyond our control, so we can plan on how we can adapt without taking on unnecessary debt. So the closing summary that I would like to say is we've worked over the last 2 years to really do a good job of managing district resources that have been sent to us. We recognize our taxpayers are hardworking. No one wants to pay property tax, but we know we need to do that in order to have an excellent educational experience for our kids. We know one of the key reasons folks buy a house in a community is the level of education that children get in there. So we recognize the sacrifice that taxpayers make. And we've made it a point to make sure that we use those funds well. We use them the same way we expect them to use it if they were sitting in our seat, by making prudent decision, conservative financial decision-making, investment of the resources in education, and also investment to make sure that when the money's not needed, it's generating yield that we can use for capital reason, for educational resources, to make sure that we do right by a taxpayer. Any discussion, questions, please?
So just to kind of maybe add a little funniness to this, because typically in corporate America, these are the hardest conversations to have when it talks about budgeting and finance. So Teresa just sent an email, and I thought she was trying to say school was closed tomorrow. So I was going to be the transportation for 308, because every kid needs to be in these classes. I'm just saying.
No, we open tomorrow.
Yes, we will be in person tomorrow.
My kids were going to be here.
No, we will be here too.
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for the overview. And I know we've talked about a lot of these components individually as they come up, but I think seeing them kind of all together was really helpful. And, I always appreciate your emphasis on a competitive bid process. So thank you very much for highlighting it and for sharing.
Thank you. I think that's the list we can do to manage the district's resources. There's really no way to know if you're getting the best prices for anything. The market will tell you that through a comparative bidding process. And that's what we do. Thank you.
I think this presentation was something that I was looking for because I think it's an important presentation for the board, because we often hear Mr. Obafemi say, oh, and then that resulted in $2 million savings. And then now we didn't pay $250,000, we paid $250 less. So to have a little summary, I think is important. But I think this presentation in combination with the memo from the last school board meeting, I think are equally important for the public, because I think they give a good representation of our district finances. The memo, it's a tale in two parts, right? The memo from last board meeting was all the external stuff that we can't control, right? It was, as you've said a couple times, even in this meeting, like the outlook from the external funding piece, whether it be the state or federal, is challenging, to use your word, in the next few years. This demonstrates, I think, to our community that in the last couple years, we have done some internal work. This is the internal story of 308, by being able to put us in a better financial position to move forward, even in challenging times, and put us in the best position possible. So, and as you were talking and listing things, I was thinking of other things where we've saved money. So I know this isn't an exhaustive list.
No, it's not.
And I know it's sometimes hard to put a number on the savings that you've incurred in different situations. So I think these are important. I think it's important for the public to know that, yes, we have some challenging times coming, but we have done a good job as a board and with the district administration, and putting ourselves in a much better position than in previous years. And so I want that message to be heard.
Thank you. What I always say, and I say this to my team all the time, we have control. We have no control over revenue. We depend on other people for it. But we have absolute control over expenditure. So if we manage our expenditure well, we will be able to realize more savings than if we don't.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
This should be quick. So essentially, by not spending on health insurance, or by not spending on cyber or other insurance, we're able to retain our teachers.
Absolutely.
We're able to pay our people better. We're able to look for better outcomes, okay, for our students. Just a couple things. Playground grants.
Yes.
Teacher training grants.
Yes.
Retirement incentives.
Yeah, retirement incentives.
Yes.
Yeah, that saved us quite a bit of money. There's quite a few things. Banking services.
Yes,
I don't want to go too far, but
that's true. We used to pay fees to for folks to be our banker. We did an RFP on that too.
and they held our money, and this is my wheelhouse. They held our money. We got nothing for it, so now at least we're investing it, and we're still saved on banking fees.
Yes, sir.
So there's yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I make a comment?
Yes. I know we're.
I am not sure how to say this, but I'm like frustrated with the idea that for a decade we've been talking about how the district has no money and they're doing everything they can. And it feels really aggravating to know that we've found all this savings in the last like 2 years. And I want us to continue going forward, and I'm going to try to forget about what happened in the past.
I think that also has to do with investing, right, in district administration that
Yes,
knows how to realize these savings. I don't think anyone, in previous administrations was trying to, put us in a bad position, but I think it's a testament to investing in people who know the ins and outs of how to realize those cost savings and those efficiencies. So yeah.
And I think also having enough staff so that we have people who have time to look into this instead of just going from emergency to keep going. I think it's also a good thing. So
Well said.
let's go forward.
I will say there's a big kudos really to the board too, because the board empowers the administration to be bold, to do what is necessary to be efficient in how you run the district. So I really believe a big appreciation and kudos to the board for giving us the charge to be able to do what is necessary to be beneficiary of the public funds. So I just want to say that for what it's worth. Thank you.
Appreciate that, and that was the intent.
Yep.
So,
you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Obafemi, for the information that you and your team shared throughout the presentation.
all right. Moving to 6.1, the superintendent's report.
Alrighty. So, good evening, board. On behalf of Dr. Calgatti, I would like you to first thank you for joining us on this chilly Monday morning. Monday morning. It is Monday evening. Dark outside. It has been.
Monday morning at some point.
Correct. Want to thank everyone for their flexibility and cooperation. E-learning is never easy, but we did have e-learning both today and Friday. While we much prefer having our students learn within us in person, the safety of our students and staff should always come first. So during the inclement weather, we have moved past. We are welcoming everyone back in person tomorrow. Yes, we're very excited that our hallways will once again be filled. So we started off this evening with some great excitement recognizing our outstanding student athletes and celebrating both our residency and ESL cohort. Definitely great reminders about a variety of reasons to be proud of our district. So in addition to celebrating this evening, we're incredibly proud of some of the important work taking place across our buildings and the district. One example that Dr. Calgatti wanted to share was the great collaboration and innovation at Homestead Elementary, which held recently a data day where staff across grade levels come together to review student data and determine ways to support their learners. This is also currently a practice amongst many of our schools. At the district level, our strategic plan continues to take shape day by day. Recently, we've had significant conversations around our long-range facility plan as we learn more about the condition and needs of our buildings. So we've assembled a task force made up of community leaders, business owners, parents, teachers, principals, alumni, to review the needs and explore possible options for addressing them. So many people do not realize that 17 of our school buildings were actually constructed within a 15-year period. So what this is happening right now is a lot of our facility needs are coming due at the same time, just based on when our schools were constructed. So we look forward to sharing the task force's feedback with our community in the near future. So at this point, I would like to welcome our board to share some highlights from across our district.
The Orange and Silver Wildcats Special Olympics team, basketball teams recently earned gold medals at regionals, advancing to the state tournament. Yay. The Junior Wildcats also earned gold at their regional tournament and will compete at the state games. Additionally, Andrew Bice, thank you, and Davis Watson earned gold at the Skills Regional Tournament last month and will also go to state. Congratulations to the Wildcats and good luck at state. It's tournament's next month, around March 13th. Woo! Yay! A number of OHS and OEHS students received honors in the regional scholastic art competition that took place earlier this month. Their work will be on display at Downers Grove North High School from February 1st through the 6th. Congratulations to all these students. Additionally, congratulations to Matthew Miller of OHS for earning a Best of Show award for his piece in the film and animation category, which is one of just 5 selected as American Vision nominees.
Wow.
Oswego East Model United Nations had a successful showing at a recent competition. Congratulations to Arush Sherpi and Samia Maduratov, I apologize, for winning the Outstanding Delegate Award, and to Kaylee Busat, Talran Puri, and Aki Luvsandash. I really apologize. I'm sure I've massacred your names, for earning honorable mention. In spite of my pronunciation, congratulations to all of them.
Shout out to the 2 incredible basketball athletes. Congratulations to Aubrey Lamberti. My apologies, for becoming Oswego East girls basketball all-time leading scorer. And congratulations also to Oswego High School sophomore Ethan Val for hitting 1,000 high school career points.
The Oswego East Boys Bowling Program won both the regional and sectional championships. Derek Saharik was the individual regional and sectional champion, and Gabe Reyna finished 4th at regionals. Oswego High School freshman Nathan Beyer-Waltis advanced to state as an individual. Congratulations and good luck at state to all of our bowlers.
Congratulations. The Oswego East dance team placed 2nd at sectionals, qualifying them for the IHSA state finals taking place this Friday. Congratulations and good luck in the state competition. Additionally, the Oswego East chess team recently won the Southwest Prairie Conference Championship. Their time, focus, and hard work has paid off in a big way. Congratulations.
So many award winners.
Yeah.
Some talented people.
Madura Rede, OEHS science teacher, has been nominated for the Life Changer of the Year award. She now has the opportunity to be selected as one of 17 prize winners. Congratulations, Ms. Rede. And then additionally, congratulations to student Marvis Cox of Wolf's Crossing Elementary School for receiving an Outstanding Leadership Award at Aurora's 41st Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration.
Congratulations. All right, we're moving to 7.1, opportunity for the public to address the Board of Education. We do have. All right, on behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to thank the public for attending tonight's meeting. We value the feedback we receive from our members of the public and encourage everyone to take an active interest in their public school system. Individuals interested in speaking to the board this evening are asked to have completed a comment card, presented it to the secretary to the board. Any members of the public who have not yet turned in their public comment card to the secretary of the board are asked to do so at this time. When the secretary calls your name, I ask that you come to the microphone, state your name for the public record, and provide your feedback. Please note that comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. and no responses to your questions are permitted. Comments should address the Board of Education as a whole, not to be directed to an individual board member, audience, or staff member. Follow-up to your questions or concerns may be addressed by administration through the contact information provided on the comment card.
Jacqueline Buys.
Oh.
Does it work? Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you to everyone who is here tonight. Good evening. My name is Jacqueline Buys. I'm a 20-plus year resident of Oswego and a parent of 3 students at OHS. I'm here to address concerns regarding the systemic failure to support students with disabilities within our district. I'm also here to address a culture of data manipulation and the systemic push out of students with disabilities within the district. Both this board and the parents of our communities must be aware that when staff and administrators manipulate data to justify moving students to restrictive placements, they are not only failing our children, they are potentially violating federal law under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. I will give you an example of this. There has been a trend where behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, are not being followed with fidelity. Instead of implementing the agreed upon supports, staff are focused on documenting internalizing behaviors, such as crying, as justifications for removal to a behavioral school. Instead of focusing on ensuring full staff implementation of supports, they choose to take data on disruptions, which directly correlate to the failed implementation of a BIP. A BIP is a legally binding document. It is not an optional set of suggestions, nor can it be altered to fit a school's administrative agenda or a desire for convenience. When data is skewed to show a student in a negative light, while mandated supports are ignored, the data is invalid and the resulting placement is predetermined. Federal law requires education in the least restrictive environment. However, when data is inflated and interventions are ignored by staff who prefer removal over support, the district risks of violating the Free and Appropriate Public Education Act. We have documentation showing a stark contrast between daily classroom reality and reports being generated to justify changes in placement. I'm asking the board to ensure that staff are implementing BIPs with fidelity and to ensure that data is audited for accuracy, not for ulterior motives. In a perfect world, data collection would be a tool to help students succeed, to inform an educator's instruction, or to see where a student needs further support. But when data is manipulated, inflated, or skewed to show a student in a negative light, and a BIP is not followed, this data is invalid. This trend is not new to the district and has been seen at the elementary, junior high, and high school levels. A student should not be penalized because an educational system finds their needs inconvenient. I will be honest, I was nervous about addressing the board for fear of retaliation against my children. How awful is it that our family even has that concern? But I felt compelled to bring this to your attention. I believe it will not be difficult to find other special education families with the same concerns. If you would like to follow up with me, I will provide you with documentation, names, correct data, and inflated data of what I am referring to. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Phil Torres.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Phil Torres, 10-year resident of Oswego and 19-year career educator. I do want to thank the board because I reached out with concerns about transparency on salaries, on job postings, and I noticed that the principal posting for Oswego East now has a salary range, so I do appreciate the transparency there. Because hiding it kind of leaves questions to the community, and then you can only find out the salary after a board meeting and somebody's already been approved. So I appreciate the transparency with that. That being said, I'm also here because of what's going on in this building at Oswego East. It sounds like there was a personality conflict and the result of an overzealous and overreactive leader. That is costing our district as much as I just sat through presentations on saving money, but it's costing the district a six-figure salary for somebody to go away for a year. The irony is not lost on me that once somebody has a 5-year contract and the safety and security it brings, they reveal their true colors. This is why the school board should not hand out contracts that long. Ruling with fear does not work in education. You've lost this building. The staff is too afraid to speak out. I think the district realizes they've lost this building because I've heard that district office personnel have been stationed here, tasked with being stationed here to try to mend fences and hear out people, but who's going to say anything when there's a vindictive leader and repercussions to be had? So with the district leader being that vindictive, seemingly a my way or the highway kind of person, who's going to speak out? Nobody's going to speak out. I challenge the board to take it upon yourselves and come talk to people in this building and get a real taste of what's actually happening here. It's going to take years to recover. This community and this building was a shining star. Removing a leader under these terms, that you've lost the culture and community that was once here. We're too broke, as a board member mentioned. The narrative is we're too broke, and we have to charge $300 a sport at the high school, which is the highest fee in the state. But we can drop $150,000 because the district leader has hurt feelings. We're too broke. The CFO at the last board meeting mentioned maybe sending families to collections that don't pay their fees. But we have $150,000 to make somebody go away and push papers at the district office. We are too broke, but we charge families at the junior high $35 for a walking club. They literally walk around the building. But we have $150,000 to spend on this nonsense. We are too broke, but we have over $5 million in salaries and benefits at the district office. Or if you look at their presentation, they hide behind 1.97% of the budget. I know why. 5 million is a hell of a bigger number. But we can drop 150,000 again because of maybe stubborn pride and ego. I also question how most of the community finds out via a Facebook post. I don't know whose decision that was to post a job opening via Facebook and then tuck your tail and run because of the comments and people wondering what's going on and what happened to the current principal. Somebody should be held accountable for that. I don't know who it was, but taking down Facebook posts and tucking your tail and running, that's not a good look for the district. Either we're broke or we're not. So the question is, are we broke? But judging by this board's willingness to dump $150K plus, it's probably going to be more than that, of our taxpayer dollars, we can't be that broke. There must be a magic money tree somewhere hidden in the district that when a district leader has hurt feelings or has a personality conflict, they can just go to the money tree and suddenly the district has money. So a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there, but then we hear presentations, every dollar matters. Does every dollar and every penny matter or doesn't it? That's the ultimate question that the school board is faced with. You guys are churning through, there's gonna be a referendum. Might be 8 months from now, might be 2 years from now. How can you look at taxpayers in the face and say we need a referendum when you are wasting our money on this? Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maxwell Gilbert.
Good evening. My name is Max Gilbert. I have 2 children at SD308. And on December 17th of last year, my son and I were struck by a district school bus in our car while trying to drop him off at school because there was too much snow for him to bike the 1.4 miles we need to travel ourselves. Today, 40 days later, my vehicle is still damaged, has not been assessed, and the footage of the accident has not been shared. I'm here today to ask that this situation finally begins to get resolved. Since the day of the incident, I have made multiple attempts weekly, if not daily, to get this matter resolved. I made attempts to communicate with the school office, principal, superintendent, transportation office, safety coordinator, and the board. I've gotten little to no response. It has taken 22 days to start a claim, and it has been 18 days of waiting for the footage in order to proceed. After multiple requests by myself, the claims department, and the Oswego Police Department, the footage has still not been released to anyone involved in the situation. If I am at fault, it would show in the footage and I would accept the outcome, but I have not been given that opportunity and have been left to mitigate the situation myself for over a month. On the day of the incident, between 7:40 and 7:45 a.m., my son and I were traveling southbound on Boulder Hill Pass towards Thompson Junior High. A district school bus was following dangerously close behind us, and I could not maintain a safe distance between us without breaking the speed limit. At the first open roadway I signaled left and attempted to turn, but was struck on my driver's side passenger door while crossing through the oncoming traffic lane by the bus before I could complete the turn. After unwedging my vehicle from the bus, I parked at the nearest safe location and checked on the bus driver and students. The bus driver told me he thought I was pulling to the right, so I assume he was attempting to speed around me in that moment. After making sure everyone was okay, I remained in my vehicle till police arrived. I told the officer I attempted to turn left and was struck, and pointed to the location of the impact while I was experiencing panic attacks but refused medical treatment. He later asked me again what happened and informed me that the bus driver was giving a conflicting story. The video footage should show everything I've told you, including the conversations with the bus driver. I'm very disheartened at how this process has gone this far. I had no reason to believe I had anything to worry about, but here I am today speaking to you, still asking for this situation to be resolved 40 days later. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and I suffer from a panic disorder. Since the incident, I have suffered multiple panic attacks that takes days to recover from. My son is very worried in the car and riding his bike home from school. I've had to learn how to do my own maintenance on my car since the shop will not work with the condition that it is in, and I've had to cancel a family vacation, and I haven't worked since June of last year, just started a new semester to become a special education teacher, and can't afford to pay for somebody else's mistake. I am not a greedy or vengeful person. I do not wish for anyone to lose their job or for this to be resolved in court. I just need my car fixed, and I would appreciate it if somebody would ask my son if he is okay and assure him that this won't happen again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there?
No.
Okay. All right. 8.1, our student board member report.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm representing our student board members this evening to give you the reports from their recent meeting on January 22nd. I do want to lead with there are 2 lunch and learn dates coming up. They wanted me to share with you. They are February 19th at Oswego East and at Oswego High School, March 3rd. They have been preparing this year as an SSAC to really have a facilitated conversation with our teachers. And in the most recent meeting, we did go virtual. The students were very engaged, very excited about what this opportunity will look like for these upcoming lunch and learns. In addition, some of the questions the students were talking through about discussing with teachers and also sharing with themselves as students to their teachers where at school they feel most comfortable being their true self and why. Students also discussed engaging in conversation about what makes you feel noticed or valued by a teacher or a student. As we know, SSAC has been focusing on student and teacher relationships that's based on data that they've gathered from the student population at both high schools. Students are really enjoying having a voice in the event planning process. They're learning a lot about all that goes into it and all the logistics that go behind making this a very successful experience. The students really do believe this is a way to strengthen connections with teachers and, like I said, foster a positive school environment. The students also talked about doing the logistical pieces like having music to welcome staff coming in, as well as stationing themselves around the room to help the staff feel comfortable engaging in this conversation. The lunch and learns, I mentioned the dates already, will be held in the high school's respective community rooms during staff and student lunch periods, so periods 4 through 7. And they're hoping that this small setting will be able to create great discussion. The students are working on an action plan for both schools to emphasize the teacher and student relationships, like I mentioned. And their next SSAC meeting in February, they'll set up those action plans and continue to collaborate with other students to make this a successful event. So they wanted you to know you're invited and to let them know if you would like to attend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I got it marked down, so let's see if work allows. 8.2, board member comments. I'll start, Randy, and I'll work my way around. No?
Okay, Kristen, so I'm gonna bounce off you. So April 16th?
February 19th.
No, the April, the big career fair.
Oh, the career fair.
Yes.
Yes. April
Please speak
16th.
on it.
You got it.
Can you share with the broader team and obviously the public what's happening and the upcoming dates and so forth?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited to share that we are doing for the first time ever a District 308 Career and College Fair. We've been planning all year for this experience. It's open up to both of our high schools. We are really advocating to partner with some industry partners to come to the event, in addition to our colleges as well. This event will be tailored primarily for our high school students, but we do welcome the public, and any student is welcome to attend. We are also partnering with School Links. They're our platform that we use to engage our students in career and college readiness planning. They're offering parent workshops as well. We encourage you, it is posted on our socials, to connect with our industry partners and encourage them to come so we can talk about those future careers with our students and what that would take for them to get there. And again, we're so excited that we're collaborating with both of our high schools. It'll be held here at Oswego East, as Randy said, on April 16th. Anything else you would add?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna go through my calendar and see what I'd done these past couple of weeks while you guys were talking, but I'm sure it's been quite a bit. We're always busy. But we'll move on. 9.1. Or 9, approved consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve all items under consent, including 9.1 minutes from the Board of Education meeting on January 12, 2026, open and closed sessions. 9.2 to acknowledge the FOIA requests received by the district. 9.3 to approve field trips for overnight and or more than 200 miles. 9.4 to approve the resolution to request Kendall County land cash in the amount of $3,207.93.
Second.
Are there any questions on the consent agenda? No?
Ms. C?
Aye.
Ms. Robinson?
Aye.
Dr. Martin?
Aye.
Mr. Cerrone?
Aye.
Ms. Winmuth?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Move on to 10.1, the Oswego East Diving Board repair and replacement quotes.
Mr. Obafemi?
I'm sorry, the diving board here at the swimming pool is original to the building. And it wasn't designed to last for as long as it has. And we were hoping to repair it as part of a larger capital project repair of the pool. But we didn't quite make it. So at this point, we need to have it repaired. And we reached out for quotes from 3 companies that we know to have the experience of doing similar work. And based on the submission that we got, we're recommending Landmark to be approved by the board to do the work. The bids that were submitted are included in the communication. And the reason why we are recommending Landmark, in addition to the fact that they have really great pricing, is that they've done work here before and they have a reputation for doing good work.
So, Mr. Obafemi, just to clarify, we're replacing the diving
Yes.
board, not repairing it.
Yes, we're going to take it and replace it with a new one.
So the bid is for a replacement, and the information is provided in the agenda.
Is it not functional right now, or is it just, you can't like?
It's not.
I know, that's what I'm saying, right?
It's not doing what it's designed to do.
Okay, so it's,
And the level of repair outpaces
Yeah.
it would be better just to replace it at this point. But yes, we did just celebrate a state championship.
yeah.
Absolutely. And I would just like to point out the stakeholder engagement that Mr. Obafemi and Sitar had from not only administrative and athletic staff, but also some of our new aquatic staff also.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I just want to confirm, we've talked to the diving people, the diving team people, and they are cool with it.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We-
And
Diving people.
One thing that we've learned being here is that we always consult with our customers before we make decision. Yes, and we engage with them.
And in addition to that, so this request will come for approval at our next meeting on February 9th. But it does take 4 to 6 weeks to replace, which would then occur after the end of our boys dive season. The board is not part of a high school athletic season. The girls are in the fall, the boys are in the winter, so it will not disrupt the diving team.
Okay. All right. Moving on to 11.1, approval of student assignment proposal. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve student assignment phase 2 proposal as discussed and presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to reiterate my gratitude for the job done on that because I know it required a lot of engagement and a lot of time and a lot of heavy conversations. So thank you to the team that did that.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? No? Okay.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Miss C?
Aye.
Dr. Martin?
Aye.
Miss Winmouth?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Miss Robinson?
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Action item.
So in just relation to student assignment, Dr. Kilgatti asked that I share just that communication to all of our addresses impacted will be coming out later this week, as well as launching a student task force related to helping with the transition that we discussed with our families that came in. So really thankful not only for the staff work, but also our parents and our community members that either participated on our task force or attended our meeting. So just wanted to share that. And those zones impacted will receive communication later this week.
Okay. Action item 11.2, approval of board policies. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve board policy section 7, students 7:150, as discussed and presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay.
Miss Robinson?
Aye.
Miss Winmouth?
Aye.
Dr. Martin?
Aye.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Miss C?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Approval of posted personnel report. Action item 11.3. Can I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the personnel report as discussed and presented.
Second.
Any discussion? Any further discussion? No.
Dr. Murillo?
Aye.
Miss Robinson?
Aye.
Dr. Martin?
Aye.
Ms. Wenmouth?
Aye.
Mr. Saron?
Aye.
Ms. C.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?